And we're live. Welcome to the board meeting of the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance on April 16th. Okay, guys, so if you have not yet pulled up the agenda, I'll post the link in the chat. You guys can pull it up there. We don't have a whole lot on here, but I think each one of these things has a lot of... Each one of these... There's 3 items on the agenda, and each one of them, though there's only 3, really has a lot to go with it. So just brief overview. The first thing is review respective tasks. I think it'd be helpful if we briefly went over. We've assigned a lot of things over the last few meetings of stuff that we're going to do, and some of it's got done, some of it hasn't. I thought it'd be helpful to briefly touch in on Wunderlist and talk about what needs to get done and what's holding us back from getting that done. And then to discuss future meeting times. And then if we have time, I'd like to just give a brief update as far as the legislative stuff when I went and testified at the state capitol in the past few weeks on Bitcoin. So, anything else you guys would like to add or rearrange?
No, on the financial front, Sean and I haven't had a chance to add it. Otherwise, I would like to, in future meetings, add like a 5-minute just kind of financial state of the union kind of thing of our stuff. I don't have it yet.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to make a note. Since Luke can't get access, probably can't take notes very well while he's on the road, I'll step in as secretary just to add some minutes throughout the discussion. So add 5 minutes of financial review to future meetings.
John,
Hey,
I could
Sean.
try. I just might drop out. That's all. But
Okay,
if you don't mind doing that, that'd be great.
No, I don't mind at all. I understand. Hey, Sean, good to see you.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
Let me see if I can lower your volume just a little bit because you're kind of loud, Sean. Just the audio
okay.
from what we see. Okay. We're good. All right. So, Sean Roy, we were just briefly talking about the agenda. Right now, there's just 3 things on there. There's review respective tasks, discuss future meeting times, and then a legislative update. I know we haven't met in a while, and that's for a lot of reasons. We've all kind of taken our turn dropping the ball, and that's unfortunate. But luckily, we're here. Sean King couldn't make it today. But he did message me to make sure I had whatever we needed from him, and we have a quorum, so we can meet and discuss the business of the organization. So, Eric already said that he'd like to, for future agendas, he would like to add 5 minutes of financial review to go over. For that to happen between now and then, Sean Roy and Eric, you guys will have to connect, and I can help facilitate that, but we need to transfer over financial stuff so that Eric can fulfill his role as treasurer. So the main things we have here on the agenda are review respective tasks, discuss future meeting times, and legislative update. So if there are no objections, then I'd like to go ahead and start by talking about tasks that have already been assigned that are on our agenda right now, discuss each one of them and find out what's holding us back from getting the stuff done. Sounding good to you guys?
Go for it.
Okay. So I pulled up in Wunderlist, and I think you all should have access to Wunderlist at this point. If you don't, please let me know. So the first thing, I'll go ahead and check off, actually, create an event for our next meetup. I already did that, actually. So I'm looking at Wunderlist right now. Y'all are welcome to pull it up as well. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do a screen share just so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay. This one, we didn't assign anybody to do this, which is probably one of the main things keeping it from being done, is there's no one assigned to it. But an email blast asking for volunteers to help with meetups. We also have talked about doing an email blast to get more people on Slack, because we haven't really been intentional about that. So I've handled the email blasts up till now, but is there anyone who'd be interested in helping handle some of the email updates that go out besides myself? Any volunteers?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. For some reason, the whole Google Plus app here is just locked up on my side. So I can hear you, but I can't see anything that's going on the screen or anything like that.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I'll still talk through it, so even if you can't see the visuals.
All right.
So James said something about what's the update on Eric and my email. I believe that's one of the tasks on here, actually. So Yeah, so James Brown just asked in the chat, what's the update on Eric and him getting Google Apps email addresses for the organization? Now, we're looking at Wunderlist right now. That is one of the tasks that's on here that still needs to get done. I know that's assigned to Sean because he's been handling that. He's been handling our technical stuff. But in answer to James' second question, which is, don't we need emails to help with the email blast? The answer is actually no. We use a service called MailChimp to send emails out to our list. And it's just like an app where you would go in, you would edit the template, and you hit send, and then it appears to come as if it's from info@TennesseeBitcoin.org. So that way, for a response, it goes to the info address rather than a specific individual. So if anybody wants to help, definitely appreciate that, because I feel like I've got a lot on my plate right now, and I know that's kind of just where we're at. And I know we're all doing this at a volunteer level. But good, James volunteered to help, which is awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and, James, even though I'm sure I'll help you get this done, I'm going to go ahead and assign this task to you just so it's assigned to somebody. That way you're in charge for making sure it gets done. Okay, so go down the list. So as part of our legal stuff to finalize our nonprofit status and a few things, I do need to file a copy of our charter. Sean let me know about this recently. He found out we have to file a copy of our charter with Rutherford County. So I'm not actually in Murfreesboro that much anymore since I don't live there. So that's the only reason this hasn't gotten done yet. Are any of you in Rutherford County or Murfreesboro on a semi-frequent basis?
You know, it's only a 15-minute drive from my house. I don't have a problem doing it if you want me to carry it down the extra 15 minutes.
Okay, that would be phenomenal, because it's almost an hour from where I live, and it's just really just not convenient. So I'm going to go ahead, Eric, and just assign this to you. So you're responsible for making sure it gets done. And I've got a link here to the actual file that needs to be turned in to the Rutherford County. I think it's the county clerk's office. We may need to confirm that. Sean King would be the one to confirm that with. And then the next thing here, this is really low priority, but Beacon Center. It's a I don't know much about it. My understanding they're a fairly libertarian policy center, and in the Nashville area, and they expressed some interest in just kind of learning more about Bitcoin at some point. And so he just said, hey, we should get together sometime. So that's the only reason why that's on here. Very low priority. But this next thing is something we can't do yet. For those of you that aren't familiar, I think I don't remember if we've caught the new board members up on this yet. But so we exist as a nonprofit, but because our nonprofit status hasn't been verified on the federal level, we can't get the free version of Google Apps yet. So we have to wait until our nonprofit status goes through. We have to finalize a couple different things. So since Sean King, I'm sorry, yeah, since Sean King is the one that's actually handling the legal stuff, and it's his responsibility to make sure some of that gets done, then he's taking financial responsibility for this, and he's paying out of pocket for our email addresses and our Google Apps services until we get that taken care of. So gives him like a little financial incentive to step it up. We've talked about the need for transparencies, about having our bylaws and our standard operating procedures up on the website, but that unfortunately that hasn't happened. I know that's been a few months. Sean Roy, do you have any thoughts or comments on that? What's holding you back from getting that done?
Nothing. I guess I just need a copy of them and to sit down and post it. It'll only take 10-15 minutes.
Okay. Now they are in Google Drive, both our bylaws and the standard operating procedures for the action team. If you could get on that, that'd be great, because I think we've really put this off a little long, and we lost Sean. Okay. So we're now down to 3. Hopefully either.
One more thing for the agendas going forward too. It would be good to have kind of a synopsis of the action team groups that are out there and kind of where they are, kind of an update to
action team
everybody
update.
on the same page.
Yep. Yeah, I'll making a note of that right now.
Sorry to interrupt, just while it was on my mind.
No, please, feel free. This is more discussion than a presentation. Okay, I just added that to the notes. Yeah, James said, if I'm not mistaken, everything installed, including the action teams. Yeah, I mean, I would say there definitely hasn't been a lot of activity. We get an email every once in a while someone saying, hey, I want to do this. So, and there's a couple students doing a Bitcoin project at, I think it's TTU. But like there's little stuff like that going on. But the reality is we have not taken an active leadership role in the last few months in anything going on Bitcoin-wise in the state, with the exception of legal advocacy. And I know we never wanted to, and we don't want to become just a lobbying group, or really just a group that's all about legal policy. So, of course, we need to make sure that we're in line with that. We're staying in line with that and really doing our best to promote Bitcoin across the state. So James just said, what's TTU? Tennessee Technological University. They're doing like the graphic design. I'm sorry, not graphic design. The computer students. The computer programming students, as a part of it, they have to do like a course or semester group project on just some kind of group project that takes like their whole semester. And they put a proposal forth, and they got accepted to do something related to Bitcoin. They're building something on the blockchain. I don't know many details. Luke's been the main one in contact with them, but that's pretty cool. So, because we have a couple students there who are interested. So it's been going on this month.
It'd be interesting to have, some sort of university program all the way around where we could communicate with the students at various universities, because more than likely your younger group's going to be your adopters anyway. To kind of help advocate that forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we need more advocacy there. I think we have a ton of ideas, and the biggest thing holding us back at this point is the fact that we end up overestimating our capabilities. The reality is that we all have jobs and families, and we're all very busy. And what we've done is we've come up with 100 different really good ideas for things that we could do to further Bitcoin, and we're making really small marginal progress on a couple of those. It might be most effective, in my opinion, if we really focus on one or two projects as a group at a time, get those off the ground before we start going into all these spin-off progress. This is my personal opinion.
Who owns the action teams on the board? Anybody?
Who owns them?
Yeah, who's our action team person who's responsible for staying in touch with the action teams and keeping up with them?
Well, each action team does actually have its own like action team leader, and so that's divided amongst board members at this point. I guess we haven't redivided that since James and Eric, you two joined the board, and so neither of you two are in charge of an action team, but we can definitely fix that. And then as far as overall action team administration, that would fall to the executive director, in this case me. But each action team does have its own leader. I'm trying to pull up real quick in our Google Drive folders to see if I can pull up the details on who's in charge of which action team. Sean's trying to reconnect because, which is important because I think at this point we don't have a quorum. Now, legally, I'm not sure if because we had 4 people at one point, we still have a quorum for the rest of the meeting, but we had to have 4 people to conduct business in the organization.
Well, we can always put the meeting notes up there, and then if there's any objections from the voting from the 4, then we can go from there and still have a quorum.
Right. How about starting up student groups on each campus as an action team? The volunteers build the action teams and thus delegate instead of overwork. Okay. Looking at action teams, we have a web and design action team. The team leader in that case would be Sean Roy. Public relations, that's myself. Sales and marketing, Sean Roy. Education, that's me. Legal and policy, that's Sean King. Community and membership, that's also me. And then technology development, that's Luke. Do James or Eric, do either of you, any of those action teams sound like something that you'd be interested in taking an active role in leading?
I'm not sure I'm the best person for any of those, but looking at expanding this into college and universities and reaching out to my network of professors that I know to see if we can't find a professor or somebody else that wants to spearhead growing awareness on the college campuses, I think I could do something like that if we want to add that to the mix.
Okay, but yeah, I guess that definitely be related to either community membership or public relations, but it's not necessarily the sole focus of either of those. I'll put up on our website our action team description there, just to make sure that I am not missing any of them.
Hey, Sean Roy's back.
Hey. Can you hear us, Sean?
He's probably still
I
loading.
think I'm back. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. So,
Sean has been reduced to a QR code.
yeah, that's his profile picture on Google Plus. Black Hat Technology, his company. Okay. So.
Okay. Let me just start where I left off at.
Please.
Let's see. We were talking about the stuff for the website.
Yes.
Then you mentioned the Google Plus, or not? Excuse me, the nonprofit, the nonprofit status. What was after that?
After the nonprofit status, and well, I talked about a couple things that need to be on the website, and then we started talking about action teams. I think that was about the same time you got disconnected. We started talking about action teams, and how there hasn't really been a whole lot of action team activity in the last few months. We haven't really taken advantage of that, or really engaged our volunteers.
Yeah, I think that I mean I've been really super busy here lately, but and I haven't taken notice. But have we had meetups? And I know that they're separate from the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance, but I haven't seen any meetups happening here in the last couple months.
We have had meetups. You weren't there, but we had them.
Then I didn't even know they were happening.
Okay.
So I have to look at why I didn't get notified for them.
Okay. Yeah, we have one coming up on April 27th. We had one last month. I don't remember what the date was. I can look it up. But yeah, and we also have already one scheduled for April and for May because we may do another actual meetup with our typical format. But Bob Murphy, a local economist from Nashville, he is about to move to Texas, and so he wanted to do a karaoke night with Bitcoin or crypto and currency enthusiasts before he left. So we scheduled that in May already. So we have April and May scheduled right now.
Okay, I'll have to take a look at those. Just another point, and this kind of is a multifaceted topic. One, I've in my professional business, I've been building out a full services web hosting company, and I wanted to volunteer moving the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance over to our web host. We're building it on Cloudflare and a whole bunch of other top end technologies. But the point would be that it would be an elimination of any hosting fees that we're currently responsible for, because I would donate that server space for free forever.
Okay. I'm definitely open to that. I think we would need to know a little more information about kind of comparing that to where we are right now, because honestly, up to this point, you've covered all of our hosting expenses anyways. So you're saying it would be on the same host rather than two separate hosting accounts?
No. What I would do is I would create the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance its own account on my web hosting service.
Okay.
So I have a commercial web hosting company that provides web hosting services to anybody. And what I would do is, I think we are being hosted on GoDaddy right now is what we've been paying for.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would just move it over to my web host, and therefore we wouldn't have to pay for it anymore. It would just be free.
Okay. And Eric or James, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, free doesn't sound terrible, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as it's clear. So essentially, this would be a donation from your company to the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance, an in-kind donation of hosting space, correct, John?
Correct. Yep, exactly. So that way we don't have to pay for it, and it just becomes one less expense that we would have in the future.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think that, and the four of us make a quorum, so we can make that decision. Especially because, Sean, you're already the guy in charge of the technical stuff, and you already have control of our website, then I think that's good. I mean, the more we can cut our expenses, the best, because we're not really actively engaging. We're not really actively raising revenue at this point.
Yeah, there's going to be a host of technical advantages too, and you know, one of the things that I've built into this web service is, you know, strong SEO, strong data serving. You know, like I said, we're bolstering it up with Cloudflare, so we're going to be getting a bunch of advantages. Basically, we're looking at an average of a 2x speed increase over our GoDaddy hosting.
Okay.
So all across the board, it's just going to be better, and the fact is, it's no longer going to cost anybody anything out of pocket.
Which is good. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm all for it. So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. So,
James is
Eric.
type an I. There, he typed an I.
Yeah, I see that. I'm just making a note in the minutes. Eric, James, Sean, and John voted in favor of. Yes. I equals I. In favor of accepting Sean's hosting donation.
And kind of along those lines, I'll be doing a bunch of different web work and SEO optimization and stuff on the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance website. So I'm just going to lump all that together into one. You know, I'm going to sit down and put in, you know, 4 or 5 hours, and
Okay.
you know, get all that web work. Any changes, additions, anything that we need to have up on the website, I'll do it all at the same time.
Okay. Well, then that would include there's a couple of things in Wunderlist that would include then. So you'd probably, I'd recommend check with that.
Okay.
Check into Wunderlist, make sure that you covered those. You just check
All
them
right.
off when they're done.
Sure thing.
Okay, so I wish Sean King was here, or she could have been here, because we should reach out to them, because I realized that we didn't do anything for a tax filing. So I don't know what that means, because I'm not sure like if we have anything that would affect taxes. We are a nonprofit.
Well, all you need is a letter from the IRS, and that's usually fairly quick for them to turn that around.
What do you mean? I'm talking about for April 15th. I'm talking about like for tax day.
Well, if you didn't make any money, then you know there is no penalty for filing a tax return late. If you're
Right.
a not-for-profit and you made money and you need to file for for the exemption of that stuff, then there may be some issues. But we should have a letter from the IRS saying that you're a not-for-profit, or you can file your tax and say we're a not-for-profit. Now, usually give it to you.
Yeah. No, we may have that letter already, but I mean the fact that so our membership launch party was in December, and that's when we raised most of the funds through membership that came into the organization, and we are required to file as a nonprofit a 990 every year that's published online. Oh, it doesn't have to be published online, but I think we've discussed publishing online before. So anyways, we'll have to definitely check into that right away.
I don't have a problem taking that over as part of the Treasury responsibility.
Okay. I will add that right now then. Look into.
But the filing date for a not-for-profit is, I think it's March 15th, FYI.
Oh, okay.
Corporations file different dates than individuals do.
Right. I didn't think about that. Okay. So I added something to Wunderlist for you for that, Eric.
Okay.
Okay. So we also have just briefly revisiting Wunderlist. I'll go back and do screen share again. Okay. So we also have. Our existing action team's contact info. Sean Roy, that was something that was tasked with you about compiling our contact info for existing action team members. We also, Sean King is going to write something else. Now, Sean King did write an article for our blog in response to some tax issues and Bitcoin stuff, and that had got some traction. So he may write some more stuff in the future. And then this is really crucial. We alluded to this earlier, but Sean Roy and Eric, it's really important that you guys connect and transfer responsibilities over, because right now Eric's been the treasurer for a couple months, but still doesn't have access to any of our accounts.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some time scheduled out here. Eric and I guess we can talk offline about uh, getting together.
Okay.
Um, I think there's been some scheduling conflicts on both of our sides that has precluded that from happening.
And Sean, too, I would really like to sit down with you if possible on a face-to-face. If we can't do that, that's fine. But it'd be better, I think, for us to, one, strengthen our own relationship in a face-to-face meeting. But at the same time, there's just some questions that get lost over phone.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I agree with that. Like I said, you and I just need to connect and actually connect the dots and make that happen.
Yeah. Well, we're talking. It's not that we're not able to communicate. It's just
Okay.
the scheduling issues.
Great. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, I have been completely hammered, and when I've been free, Eric hasn't been free, and vice versa.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. Well, let's try to make sure that happens. I mean, right now it's April 16th. So I mean, if that can happen by the end of the month, that'd be great. I mean, you could even be at our next meetup. You guys could just come early or stay late and connect. Whatever you guys want to do. But we really just need to make sure that happens sooner rather than later. And I think you guys know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm also tasked with creating a Google Doc for important organization contact information, like for each board member, for our Emma contact, who's Priya, and a couple others. So I'll get on that for sure. And then, Sean, are you still able to take on the task of creating email addresses for Eric and James?
I can. However, remember that because we're not on nonprofit, that is an additional monthly expense, and Sean King, I believe, is covering that.
Yeah, and that's fine though. He already said that he'd cover the two new addresses. We did already talk about that.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I'll get those set up. Yeah, you know what? If I can get those set up today, I will. If not, I have it on my schedule. From 9 a.m. to 12, I'll be working on the TBA website stuff, and I can get that done on Saturday. This Saturday.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just make sure you check in here to want to listen to the stuff.
Yep.
And James Brown said, when you change hosting, will that email charge change? And James, the answer is no, because this is through Google Apps. Our email fees are through Google Apps. We don't use the default email software that comes with most hosts. And then, Brian Huddleston from the Nashville Technology Council. I talked to him. He's been some help with the legal stuff that's been going on. He wants to be more involved, so I'm going to get him in Slack and in our legal policy channel to be part of that discussion. So, anything you guys see missing here from Wunderlist, or anything you think we need to talk about or bring to the table?
I'm gonna have to get logged into Wunderlist because I don't see I don't see what's going on your screen there.
Okay. Eric, are you trying to?
I have a very good relationship with Brian Huddleston. If you want my involvement in any way, I'd be glad to help.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't where you knew each other. Yeah. Luke and I know him as well. And I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, because I think in the future we're going to try to work with the National Technology Council on an ongoing basis a little more. So I'll definitely keep that in mind. Thank you, Eric. Okay, I'm going to pop back over to the video call. Okay, so that's really the task we're at. It's really important, and I'm guilty of this just as much as anybody else. It's really important, though, that we all make it a point to check in at least once a week, to check in on the various responsibilities that we've taken responsibility for and get that done. Because there are things that have been on there for more than 3 months that are small tasks which still haven't been completed. Which that just means that we're just not checking into what we've committed to.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Like I said, my schedule has been absolutely crazy. I've been working 7 days a week here, but I am going to put a repeating calendar entry on for every Saturday morning at the very least to log in and make sure that my responsibilities are taken care of.
Okay. Well, and I think that kind of naturally leads into the next topic, which is to discuss future meeting times. So we've kind of in the Slack, we've kind of had talks going back about possibly meeting at a different time or date. Thursday at 1 o'clock may not be the best for most people because it's during the week, or it works for some but not others. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Let's kind of refresh the conversation here via video and audio. James Brown pointed out that one of the suggestions was Saturday morning. which James, you said would work well for you, right?
I can't do Saturday mornings with any consistency.
Okay.
I'm a single man. I'm a single man, not married, with no children. Saturday morning is not always an option.
Okay.
Fair, just being honest.
Okay. I understand. The looking back over the conversation in Slack that we've had about this. Now, we don't have to have it every week. We did talk about this, and we did establish that we want to have a board meeting every other week, so that the off weeks we can spend focusing on the action teams. So what we've been doing, though, is just the off weeks are our off week where we don't meet, and then our meetings, when we have meetings scheduled, then often we'll forget or just not follow through, or most people can't make it. So I could make some Thursdays, but honestly, those are just not a good day for me personally. So I like Saturday mornings, but Eric, you're saying that you could not make them with regular consistency. Well, do you think you could do one or maybe two a month?
Well, I mean, I can do them. I'm just not sure my A game is there, and I have to go from my house to get to downtown to a computer that has an internet connection. The house is for sale, doesn't have an internet connection, so I don't have an access to a Saturday morning way to communicate with everybody in a like this. Like, I'm downtown at the office right now.
Right. Okay. Well, when would be good for you?
During the week, any time is pretty good.
Okay.
It's just, if a weekend, if I'm gonna be at the house, I don't have. I mean, I'm gonna be stuck with a cell phone, and it's iffy.
Yeah. In general, in my business, I try to keep all my meetings to Monday, and so I keep Mondays open, so I can do I can do almost any time on Monday. But I know, James Brown, you said that was an issue for you before, correct? Yes? Yes. Okay. I think we're in this situation now where we finally have the sheer volume of people now, of 6 members, that it's difficult to find a day that works for everybody.
What about kind of, it may sound arbitrary, but what about Wednesday evenings? And I say Wednesday because it's in the middle of the week. Things that we need to do beforehand and after, we can usually accomplish. Like, for instance, Mondays for me are bad, not because I have things scheduled, but because it just happens to be the day that everything goes to hell, and I get phone calls all day long, and it's just crazy nonsense, And then, Fridays are always like finishing up everything from the last half of the week. So if we were to do something like on a Wednesday, like a Wednesday night, from 5 to 6, most people aren't doing something on Wednesday.
I can't do Wednesday nights.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. I think your logic is sound, but I can't do Wednesday nights. Now, one option is really the only night I can do consistently at this point is going to be either Monday night or Saturday night. I wouldn't prefer to do Saturday night, but I could do Saturday night.
Monday would probably work. Monday evenings. Yeah. I would say, in the evening hours, because in that way, everything that's going on during the day, you can pretty much tie off,
by
between
5 or 6,
between 4 to 6 o'clock, someplace in there.
Yeah. Okay. So and then James Brown commented in the chat, and he said that Monday night works for him too. Eric, do you have preference there?
I can do Monday nights.
Okay. Sounds like that may be the best bet for us, for the 4 of us at least. And let's reach out to the other 2. What time would you guys like to give it a shot? James Brown suggested 8 p.m.
8's getting pretty late.
Yeah. He said slacker.
Yeah, I have 7 kids. I have 7 kids to take care of. 8 kids to take care of.
Sean, every time the number of kids gets bigger. Every time.
Hey, I just got 2 more.
Okay.
I just got 2 more. So legitimately, I'm up to 6 children right now.
Okay. I mean, I've got 1 on the way, but nothing like that. So James has 35 kids. He wanted to make sure you knew, Sean. So you really have nothing to complain about. Okay, so I think you're right. 8 p.m. may be a little bit late. Okay, so here's the thought, right? So we're all typically wrapping up what we're going on work-wise around 4 or 5. So our options are probably either do it right after we get off, after we finish like regular work responsibilities.
Yep.
Around 5, or do it after I mean, I imagine most of us will probably want to break for dinner, after dinner. Personally, I would prefer to do something like 5 p.m., but is that a little early for some of you guys?
No, I think that for me, between 4 to 6 is a
Okay.
prime time.
Okay, but yeah, James said he can't do that. James, what's the very earliest you can meet on a Monday night?
He doesn't want to answer.
He said 6 p.m. maybe, but route. I think that's supposed to mean rough. Yes. Yes, rough. Okay, so he said 6 p.m. is the earliest he could do. Very funny, James. He said he can't smell. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I don't think 6:30 is too bad. That gives you a chance to get most of the traffic cleared out or wherever you want to be. If you need to get
True.
to a point, 6:30 is probably not a terrible timeline for traffic navigation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's plan on that. So I'll make a note. Let's Okay. New meeting day time proposed. Mondays at 6:30 p.m. And we're also moving towards our meetups now being on Monday night. So it makes sense that we wouldn't have a board meeting on the same night as a meetup, but we can at least know that Monday nights are going to be a Bitcoin night. So either we got a meetup, or we have a board meeting, or we're working with action teams.
Yeah, that would work quite well, I think.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'll reach out to the other two and make sure that works for them, which I'm fairly certain it will, and then we'll try to schedule that, get that on the calendar. Good. Okay, so that's future meeting times. Someone added meetup schedule to the agenda. James? Was that you?
No.
It was James. James, so I know it's difficult to communicate this way where you're in chat and you don't have a microphone. Could you give us a little more information about what you mean by meetup schedule, or what you want us to discuss? Do you just want to discuss like when meetings are moving forward, or what our plan is for making our meetups more regular? So let's get the full year laid out. Okay, so I did post about this in Slack, but I don't know if any of you guys saw in the Nashville Bitcoin meetup conversation going on there. I did reach out to our contact at Emma, and I tried to nail down some recurring dates for the rest of the year, hoping it's going to be either the second Monday of the month or the third Monday of the month. So she's looking in right now to find out which of those is available. Like, we may be able to get like a Monday here and there, but we're trying to find one that's consistently available for the rest of the year. So she's looking at that right now. When she gets back to me, then we'll commit to that schedule, and we'll do that from here on out. So I think that'll help us. Last year, that's what we did to really be more consistent. Was we had a consistent. It was the third Tuesday of the month. We met every single month, and we just knew it was coming. We didn't have to schedule. We just had to decide what we were going to talk about. So I think that'll be really helpful for us, and I think that would take care of our issue right now, where our scheduling's been kind of inconsistent for meetups. James, does that resolve your questions or concerns? Do you have something else that you wanted to add to that? He said if we don't do it at Emma, we need to do something somewhere. I agree. And if you look at the comments on meetup.com, we actually had some guys move here to Nashville. A company called BTC Media. They said they just got an office in Nashville. They haven't been able to make it to their CEO wasn't able to make it to our last meetup, and he'll be out of town for this one. He's going to send some of his staff, but he said that for future meetups, he'd love to host us at one of his at their office in Nashville. So maybe that won't be our typical meetup. Maybe that'll be just another more casual get together and a happy hour type thing. We'll see. But either way, I think that would be good. I think it'd be good for us to reach out and do some little things like that, a little bit different. Any other thoughts on the meetup schedule topic?
Well, and two, I mean, the office I have on 2nd Avenue, if you guys are in the downtown area at 6:30, if you want to come up here, you're welcome to use my little office up here for board meeting stuff.
Okay.
We will do that on Monday, so because I have to be here for it anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know for sure. Now I actually live even farther away than I used to now from Nashville. I live in Columbia, so I probably won't be up there very often. But
I know, but other people may be in the area.
yeah, other Nashvilleians probably will, for sure. Okay, I think we can move on from the meetup schedule topic, unless there's anything else anyone needs to add or wants to add.
I'd love to hear about your testimony.
Yes, that's the next thing. So we recorded the video. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to put it up on YouTube. I just have the videos downloaded. I just haven't taken the time to put it on YouTube yet. But I testified on Bitcoin twice at the Capitol. Once in front of a House of Representatives subcommittee on local governance, and then once in front of a Senate committee on local government operations. So both of those were about the same bill, are duplicate versions of the bill that were presented in the Senate and the House. They were sponsored by Senator Dickerson in the state Senate and Representative Jeremy Faison in the House. Now, the bill, all it is, it's very simple and straightforward. It's something that I'm not really surprised they were keen to pass. But all it says is that you can donate, or as a political candidate, you can accept Bitcoin contributions at the state level in your political campaign as long as you convert them into US dollar before you sell them. So it's not a very, it's not really a very revolutionary bill, but it's the first step in the door. Because what happened at both those situations is there was a Q&A section where I was brought forward as the expert testimony by our friends in in Congress, and the panels asked me a number of questions about Bitcoin, specifically saying like, okay, what is this thing? Some of them were like, all right, one guy was like, I thought I was tech savvy, and I've never heard of this, and one of them was like, oh, my daughter's all about Bitcoin, but they really had no idea. At first, they just thought it was a platform just for donating to politicians. It took them a minute to figure out that it was more than that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's what the bill was about, so I can see how they'd be confused, but. Yeah, so it went really well.
They care about getting money. That makes total sense. That's what they care about.
Yeah. So it went very well. They were very interested in it, and both the committees I testified in front of passed the bill unanimously. So from there, the next thing that happens is the bill is actually presented to the full Senate and full House, and they'll vote on it. But I was told that level of bill, if it passes the committee, it's gonna pass in the actual full House and full Senate. They said at that level of bill, they don't expect any really conflict. So we should expect those bills to pass. So that's definitely something really small. It's not really revolutionary, like a huge win for us. James Brown said, when will it be voted on? And that's a good question. I don't actually know. Let me get something to look into. I don't actually know when they're going to vote on it. When I was there, they didn't give me a whole lot of information other than they said they'll let me know how it goes. But yeah, for one of those, I was on live TV. And at both times, I was there representing the Tennessee Bitcoin Alliance. I made that very clear in my introduction. So that's a little more publicity for us as an organization, which is good. And then I met with Jeremy Faison, Representative Faison, and he said that he actually wants us to come and actually meet with him and in his office sometime in the next couple months. It will probably be Sean King as our general counsel, and myself, and then we'll bring in Brian Huddleston from the National Technology Council because he wants to be involved in becoming a policy advocate for technology in Tennessee. And so we're going to actually meet with them and lay out what bills we'd like them to try to pass within the next legislative session. And so we actually have 3 in mind, Bitcoin related. And these ones would be a little bit more revolutionary than just you can accept it, as a politician. One of the ideas is essentially that we would, let me just pull this up so I'm not shooting off the cuff, so I actually know what I'm talking about. Okay, so Sean King suggested 3 things. I think they're all great ideas. 1, permit payment of state and local taxes in Bitcoin. I believe California already did this. New Hampshire's.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And I think New Hampshire did a similar thing. So there's definitely precedence for this, and that would be really cool if you could just pay. I mean, I don't know. Okay, maybe it would be really cool if you could pay your taxes in Bitcoin, but it'd be pretty cool. So that's one thing. Second one would be exempting Bitcoin from money transmitter licensing requirements for at least 5 years. That one would be big. If you're not familiar with this, right now, if you want to operate a Bitcoin exchange, you have to have a money transmitter license if you're transmitting more than $1,000 a day. Or per customer, or one of those. Maybe it's $1,000 per day per customer. Either way, so you would have to have a money transmitter license in every state that you work in. So what that means is that right now, exchanges like Coinbase, they have money transmitter licenses in 48 different states. because 48 different states all have their own license requirements. There are 2 states who don't. But it's very expensive to do it. It means that